Hello and welcome to Business Insight. My name is Dewunmi, and on Business Insight, we seek to achieve two objectives. The first is to provide you with information on recent happenings in our economic space, and secondly, to provide meaningful insight on how this may affect you. With me today, I have our in-house economist. To my right is Mustapha.
Hi, Dewunmi.
Thank you. And to my left is Fiyinfolu.
Hi, Dewunmi.
Okay, so Mustapha, quickly, can you tell us the major economic events or developments that has happened in the first quarter of 2015?
Okay, the first quarter has been highly volatile, Dewunmi, I tell you, and this volatility has caused across financial markets that the stock market is still about 10% down. But aside that, a major event that occurred again was the release of the GDP report for the last quarter of 2014, where economic activities slowed down in the last quarter to about 5.94% in terms of growth compared to the third quarter of 2014. Thirdly, we noticed inflation edged up to 8.3% from 8.2% as of January, according to the report released by NBS. Then fourthly, the CBN came up with another intervention fund, this time targeted at manufacturers and other risk sector players. The size of this fund is about 300 billion naira, and it is going to cost borrowers of this fund just about 9%, which is single digits, and which is quite attractive for anyone that might be interested in accessing this fund. Then the last and probably the most profound event for the first quarter would be the scrapping of the AGDAs, which is also the official foreign exchange market in the economy. So the CBN had to scrap the market due to a widening gap between the AGDAs, which is the official market, and the interbank market.
All right, let's dive a bit into the Naira situation.
Okay.
What would you say led to the gulf between the AGDAs and the interbank markets? Okay.
The Naira was under significant pressure across all markets, and this was driven primarily by the heightened uncertainty in the macroeconomic space as we currently have it. So what we found happening was the price for the dollar was relatively stable at about 168 Naira, the official market, while at the interbank market it was trading as high on the average of about 200 Naira. That reflected the true picture of why at the interbank market, at the official market, it was relatively fixed by the CBN. So that created some form of arbitrage, and the arbitrage further aggravated the situation, and people kept demanding for Naira just to take advantage of this, and CBN had to step in and scrap the AGDAs markets just to bring some form of sanity to the FX market.
All right, thank you so much for that insight. All right, Fi, over to you. What would you say is the effect of the scrapping of the AGDAs market?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's important to note that scrapping the AGDAs was a step in the right direction because the CBN's reserves, which they were using to maintain that market, was under significant pressure, and this in the long term could impair their ability to maintain macroeconomic stability. That being said, what was going on at the AGDAs was quite similar to a subsidy on the dollar, and fuel importers, marketers, manufacturers, and guys who had the luxury of buying dollar at this market were accessing funds at about 168 Naira are going to be forced to buy it at about 200 Naira, and this tantamount to about a 20% increase in price, which of course they're going to try and push up to the final consumers.
Okay, so are you saying that generally the prices of imported goods will increase by 20%?
Well, if that should happen, let's all go home. but not exactly. What's going to happen is people are going to, businessmen and women are going to have to sit back and assess their goods, ask themselves, what's the bargaining power of my consumers? If I increase the price of my goods by 20%, will I still have customers? And you'll see that not everyone has the capacity or the luxury to pass off the cost to the increase in cost to the final consumer. That being said, I think for example, one of the satellite TV providers, they just bumped up their prices. Probably sat down and did a similar analysis and were like, hey, people actually need our product and we can afford to do this, but not everybody can do this, like I said. Some will just have to absorb this cost in form of margins, and those that can't do it and can't pass it off to the final consumers will just have to go home. End of business.
All right, thank you guys. Interesting. In the Naira devaluation, who will you see are the winners and the losers?
Okay, starting off from the losers, the biggest loser out there is going to be the average consumer, going to be the average consumer on the street, in the sense that the prices of certain items which has been used to buying are going to go up. I just told you inflation went up to about 8.3%, and his income is not likely to increase as fast as the increment in prices. So his purchasing power is going to be curtailed, and that means that might have a spiral effect itself on those who manufacture or produce these goods, and they may also have to cut back on whatever they get to produce. But on the flip side as well, for exporters or whoever earns in dollars, this might just be a good time for you. So in a sense that the same quantity of dollar you earn now fetch you more Naira for you to spend, and probably have a good life and do other things.
All right, so is it safe for me to quote Mustapha that I should go into exploitation?
Trust me, at this moment, it's a good business.
All right,
once your business model covered, your business model has to be good.
All right. Okay, Fiyi, what do you think?
I agree with Mustapha, and I think what is gain for the exporter is a loss for the importers, because of course the price of their the cost price of their goods are now more expensive, and you expect a situation whereby consumers are a bit more price sensitive. So I think this is an opportunity for maybe Nigerian guys to step up and say, hey, we can offer these goods at a cheaper price, and maybe even try and match quality, because quality is very important. Another category that comes to mind are the FMCG guys. These are people that some of them have to report their earnings in dollars, so of course there's a clear loss for them, because Naira is now cheaper compared to the dollar. Also, you have guys that are importing their raw materials. So if you have to import your raw materials in order to produce your goods, of course the cost price of your raw materials have gone up. But that again is an opportunity for people that produce local raw materials, because some of them are going to be forced to switch to local raw materials. And this won't be the first time big companies are switching to local raw materials. We know of bottling companies and breweries that had to say, hey, we can't afford to be importing these raw materials again, let's go local. So people in the agri sector are winners again. Yeah.
All right. Quickly, what's your outlook for the second quarter of 2015?
Okay, the macroeconomic space for the second quarter will largely be driven by the outcome of the political process. And I'll just play the optimistic card here. And so if the process turns out to be very successful and there are no issues at the end of it, we are likely to see some form of stability gradually coming into the system, and this should cut across various financial market, and maybe a gradual build-up of confidence for businesses to take step and maybe make investments, and gradually, and possibly, who knows, we might just see another devaluation of the Naira, possibly.
All right, for you, do you have anything?
Well, just to add to what Mustapha said, I think the optimistic card is a very interesting card. Just to start with, because the possibilities are endless actually. Apart from that, I think inflation might also gain some momentum. We've seen it increase by only about 0.2%. I think there's still like a lag in the effect of the devaluation. Also, things which could affect consumer demand or household demand. Let's all keep an eye on subsidy and see what happens to pump prices and maybe taxes. Yeah, that would be my outlook.
All right, thank you guys for coming today. On that note, we'd like to bring this episode to an end. If you have comments or questions you'd like to share with us, kindly send it to ebr@sterlingbankng.com. Thank you for watching, and see you soon.
And you're attaining greater heights.